Hey, did you just buy one of those nice, beautiful Switch OLEDs? Yeah, guess what? Nintendo's probably coming out with a new console next year. Just to let you know, just thought I'd put it out there. And there's another big secret to it, and you're probably not going to be happy about this, if any of it's true. Take all of this with a teeny tiny grain of salt. But whatever, you know what I say about rumors. Let's get into the news, baby. Skip it up and that up. So, not too long ago, you remember that Nintendo filled our hearts with a big old dose of disappointment when they revealed the Nintendo Switch OLED, because we have been fed rumors by many credible sources since the Switch launched that we were getting a Nintendo Switch Pro, and we have heard a whole bunch of different rumors about it, like it's going to have NVIDIA's deep learning super sampling technology, and it's hardware, its core hardware is going to be on par with a base PlayStation 4, which would be pretty impressive, and it's going to have 4K 60 output, blah, 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 blah. It sounded like a substantial upgrade, and we thought for years, since the rumors about the Switch Pro have been persisting since the original Switch came to market, was going to be the Switch OLED. And then we got the Switch OLED, which is the same system on a chip with an OLED screen. And then we were sad. And then we went flaccid. And then I cried in a corner for hours with my bird. This bird, we were sad together. Well, anyway, just when you thought people like me should STFU, because we talked about the Switch Pro for many, 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 many years and it never happened, there's more rumors coming out now. And there may be a next-gen Switch coming next year. Are you enjoying that Switch OLED you just got with that big beautiful screen that I told virtually most people, if they already owned a Switch, not to buy unless something was wrong with their Switch or they were in the market for a Nintendo Switch and never bought one? Well, anyway, this comes from comicbook.com, and there's some interesting stuff here. I'm going to read it to you and then we will discuss. And there's going to be a sticking point that's going to make some of you angry. And it kind of surprises me and disappoints me as well. Anyway, I'm going to shut up, read this, and then we'll get into it. A new report is making the rounds claiming that the successor to the Nintendo Switch, tentatively called the Nintendo Switch 2, is set to release sometime between holiday 2022 and early 2023. The report comes on the back of months and months of reports about a Nintendo Switch Pro that never fully came to fruition. This month, the Nintendo Switch OLED released, but it's hardly a Nintendo Switch Pro. No kidding. That said, while the Nintendo Switch OLED plays every Nintendo Switch game, it sounds like the Nintendo Switch 2 may not. The report comes from my buddy Nate the Hate over on YouTube. I've done the Spawncast with him before. A Nintendo insider and leaker that has proven reliable in the past, but a source that has also been off the mark in the past as well. They all have been. Look, man, the rumors come from all over the place, and even if you have an insider, sometimes the insider makes mistakes. But anyway, continuing on. As noted, the report mentions that a release is roughly a year away, give or take a few months. If this is true, an announcement should be coming somewhat soon. I don't know if I believe that the Switch OLED just released, but anyway. In addition to leaking the console and its release window, the report also mentions that it currently isn't backwards compatible with Nintendo Switch. Oh boy. Nintendo Switch Lite and Nintendo Switch OLED games. Of course, this is bad news for those who own a Switch and any number of games for it. However, according to the report, Nintendo is working on remedying this issue. That said, if this being a problem in the first place is telling. And they talk about all the stuff I've mentioned before. It's going to have 4K support, deep learning, super sampling. The comicbook.com article is saying because of those two things, it won't be far off in capability from the PS5 and Series X. I'm going to have to press F to doubt. I think that's the phrase that the kids use, but I don't, no, it's not going to be as powerful as a PS5 or Series X. It's going to be way more capable than the current Switch we all have, but to say it's going to be on par with the 9th gen consoles from Sony and Microsoft is kind of a stretch, but needless to say, it's still going to be a substantial jump in power. But my concern is, and as well should be your concern, is the backwards compatibility issue. Now, they're working on it, But here is the thing. The Switch is still a wildly popular console. And many people, including me, were under the assumption that the next-gen Switch would be backwards compatible with the current-gen Switch. And I'm kind of surprised the hardware wasn't built around the fact that it should have been backwards compatible. And the fact that they're working on it means that it's not guaranteed to be backwards compatible. And that's a major issue, like a huge, monumental issue, because you're going to have probably at the time over 100 million people that own a Nintendo Switch that are just going to assume that the next Nintendo Switch is going to be backwards compatible. And if it's not, there's going to be a lot of very unhappy customers, Nintendo customers, I should say. Now, do I believe we're going to see a next-gen Switch in 2022? I'm going to say no. I think it's going to be early 2023. With them just releasing the Nintendo Switch OLED, I think it's insane for them to come out with a next-gen Switch, not even a year after they released the Nintendo Switch OLED, but who the hell knows? Maybe developers are banging on their door saying, look, we have sucked the Tegra X1 dry. There is nothing else we could get from it. We know you want these third-party AAA games on the Switch, but we can't go down to 144p to make them run at 28 frames per second. For the love of God, please give us a new SoC. But on the flip side, who knows? Nintendo, look how far they pushed the Game Boy platform. I mean, the Game Boy Color was a band-aid because developers were begging them, saying, oh dear God, please, like, we've been working with this same limited hardware that was limited in 1989 when you came out with the Game Boy. We need new hardware if you want us to continue developing games. And that was part of the reason that the Game Boy Color existed, because they were getting demands from developers. And I'm sure developers are saying the same thing to Nintendo now about the Switch. Oh, you like games like Dying Light coming to the Switch? Yeah, you ain't going to get any more if you keep us trying to develop on this very dated Tegra X1 SoC. So my biggest thing and my biggest concern, like I said, is this backwards compatibility. For any system on the planet that needs the backwards compatibility, it's the Switch. Here is the thing with me. All of my games are digital. And if I just can't transfer them over to the next gen Switch, oh man, will I be annoyed. You know, I just assumed, especially because it's running on a mobile ARM processor. The Tegra X1 they had it in the NVIDIA Shield TV, and the Tegra X1 was also in some tablets and other mobile devices. It's kind of like, you know, you could have Android phone and still play Angry Birds on it, and Angry Birds came out in like 2010. I'm just kind of surprised that Nintendo didn't work this next-gen Switch. If these rumors are true, keep in mind this all could be misinformation. Not saying Nate the Hate will put it out there purposely as misinformation, but stuff happens. But I would be kind of surprised if Nintendo didn't build the next-gen Switch from the ground up to be backwards compatible. And if it ends up not being backwards compatible, I will be really shocked and really disappointed. And I think that would have a major impact negatively on sales of Nintendo's next-gen console if it isn't backwards compatible with the current Switch. So hopefully they are really working on it, and hopefully they get it resolved and make it work, because I think that would be a major hurdle to people buying the next-gen Switch if it isn't backwards compatible. And many people, including me, would be very unhappy, but only time will tell. And again, take this information with a grain of salt, because things change in this industry like that. This is Rich of Review Tech USA signing out. Have a good one.